It's been a known fact that N64 owners are gay. You all like to play cute games like Banjo and Yoshi, while bashing games like Tomb Raider, simply because the main character is a woman. Now you all are anticipating the arrival of the gayest N64 game of all, Zelda 64. You all can't wait to play a game with that delicate little elf with the big ears. Why is this game even called Zelda? Shouldn't it be called Link? Maybe Link secretly wants to become Zelda? You N64 drones are welcome to this gay game. Coming soon, another gay game, Conkers.
Hi, welcome back to
What's up?
the Promising Future podcast. We haven't recorded in a while. We've both been busy and have had a million
Very
things
busy.
going on. We recorded an episode with my friends from Combat, but Holden never fucking sent his audio, so
It's lost to time
it's
now.
lost to time now. Yeah. Um, your thing about Conkers, like the end line, reminds me that Doja Cat for her Halloween costume dressed up as the sunflower with the huge tits from Conkers.
Was this
Yes,
recent?
this was this past month, like this past Halloween.
Okay. So this is real
Yeah,
recent.
yeah.
Okay. What? That's really funny.
God. She's one interesting character. Yeah, no, I man, I don't even know what to say about I do think it's funny that man, if this guy could have seen Breath of the Wild and what they're doing to Link in that game.
Oh yeah, if he was saying this shit on a forum in like 1998, he would have freaked out. That shit. I mean, we say that like he's probably still like
He's
alive. Like,
hopefully this guy didn't
hopefully,
die.
I hope this guy is
Hopefully
alive.
he's haunting forum posts and he's like he's just become like some anti-woke grifter now.
This could be any of those guys from Twitter, and we'd have no
Yep,
idea.
we have no idea. Um God. I don't know, like I'm trying to think of what I was just thinking about was how I keep fucking finding like photos of um like Shannon from Awake but still in bed, like just like on her like last FM of just her in like random fucking cosplays. Um
What?
yeah, I just there's one in her last FM of like her in a maid outfit. I remember there was one like she posted a long time ago that was like her dressed up as She. I don't know. Uh that it's just funny. Like when I saw that band with Teen Suicide, I was like, oh God, she has a Sheikah tattoo, like the eyeball. But
Oh, from yeah.
yeah, um, thinking about Zelda, I do think it's funny
Uh
that
huh.
they carry over like the all the like Hyrulean symbols into Majora's Mask, even though because it's like an asset flip, even though they don't make sense to be in that game.
I'm gonna be honest. I've never once thought about that.
It's just
That never occurred to me.
it's like you can find the Sheikah stones in Terminum, and it's like the Sheikah
Oh
never
right.
like were
That wouldn't make any sense. I didn't think
yeah.
about that.
Um Same with the Mask of Truth. Like how the fuck did that get there?
Oh right. Like it looks like the
Yeah, like
yeah.
obviously it's an asset flip, and this is
Right.
just like uh it's just hyper scrutinizing a game that they made in like a year,
Yeah.
but it's just funny to think about.
It is.
Yeah, Majora's Mask is just like so interesting because it's removed from every like other piece of Zelda mythos. Um,
Yeah.
like you're just kind of dropped into Termina with like no context and no explanation for why it exists, and it has this fully developed culture and world, and you're just kind of like a spectator to it. It's not like the other Zelda games where you get like an explanation for, oh, Hyrule. came to be. Even in Link's Awakening, like you get an explanation for like why colon exists. In this in Majora's Mask, it's just like, oh, there's this world that exists underneath Hyrule, and we really don't know how the fuck it got here. Um, so
And that's why it's
that is
cool.
why it's cool. Um,
I like that
I
game.
I love that game. I really wish that Nintendo would make more games like that. They did an interview, like some interview recently, where they're like, "Oh, well, this is kind of obvious that they do this, but like, oh, we're more focused on the gameplay than anything." And like, I think that's a good mindset to have, especially in this day and age where like Sony just kind of keeps making
Yeah,
like the same game with a different coat of paint. Um,
right.
every time, but like, man, I wish Nintendo would take some risks in terms of like storytelling.
Yeah.
Like I played like Tears of the Kingdom and I was just so fucking disappointed by that game. Um
I didn't play it. I didn't care for the other one,
yeah,
so
like Breath of the
I
Wild,
didn't like touch it.
like I was like I didn't get a Switch until 2020 and I didn't play Breath of the Wild
I
until
played it on the Wii U.
oh my God. Yeah,
Yep.
I my old like my Wii U from when I was like a kid got thrown out.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
so did my copy of Pokemon Emerald and my copy of Pokemon
Oh,
Black.
shit. I watched a copy of Pokemon Emerald that I had like a billion hours in when I was a kid.
Sucks. Especially
It's
because that
crazy. I
game's
played that game so much.
expensive now.
It's really
And
expensive
I got it for
now.
like
Yeah.
$30.
Oh, yeah, it was probably like new when I
Uh,
got it. Like, it was probably pretty new.
my friend Ellie, when I meet her, she said she'd give me a copy of Pokemon Emerald, and I'm excited for that.
Oh, shit.
Uh, yeah. Uh, Pokemon. One thing that I did want to talk about with you is that I've been playing
Uh huh.
Dragon Quest III, the HD 2
Oh,
remake, and
yeah.
this is my first time through the game. And playing that game specifically, playing any of the early Dragon Quests gives you a sense of this, but you really, um,
Mm hmm.
with 3 specifically, it's kind of like, wow, every fucking RPG ever took from this. Um,
Dragon Quest III is literally the blueprint for like every RPG made
yeah,
after it. It's insane. And 5 also to
five,
like an extent is
five.
very like
uh,
every game is doing
Yeah,
that.
especially in terms of like the story structure of like, oh, you just follow this dude
Yeah.
throughout like the course of his life. Like that sort of immersive element of JRPGs became so prevalent with the genre going forward, and that started with that game. Um, like what specifically comes to mind, is the latest Final Fantasy and how it's just wannabe Dragon Quest V.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh I haven't played that game.
I haven't either. I just know, like, just from
Probably won't, but
having, like, see, if you're on Twitter, an app that I prefer not to use now, for long enough, you just kind of like absorb games through osmosis
yeah.
because everyone on the timeline doesn't know how to like censor spoilers or anything.
Oh, no one does that like at all. I'm glad I don't care.
Uh, Yeah, because you'd have everything ever spoiled for you. One of my mutuals, she went on a date with somebody, and the person she was going on a date with really liked Jujutsu Kaisen, and solely because she
Uh-huh.
watched everybody spoil the fuck out of it. This girl was able to keep up with her date, um,
Oh my god.
and talk about Jujutsu Kaisen just because she heard about everything through Twitter.
It was crazy when that shit was coming out like weekly because it was getting leaked like a week in advance and everyone was just posting it. And it was like, man, if you're reading this shit, like that's crazy.
Um, Yeah, I it feels like um Dragon Quest can kind of be taken in two directions. With what I've played of the first two, and
Hmm.
also, you know, my time with three thus far, versus what I've played of four, five, and six, they feel
Mm,
like they have a very different design philosophy, where four, five, and six
yeah.
feel more focused on letting the player immerse themselves as solely as the hero and let the world form around them. Um,
Yeah.
and having input on the decisions that the hero, would be able to have input on versus the first three, the world's just kind of your oyster and you can do whatever the fuck you want. Um,
Yeah.
Especially because in one, like, it's just you. You don't have any party members, or anything. You're just kind of wandering around doing your own thing. You can role play as the hero as you see fit. Um, and with two, I don't want to talk about. You just have the princess and then Conrad who dies repeatedly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with three, the system where you can just make party members, um it feels more like a tabletop RPG than anything because you can blueprint whatever personality and characteristics you want onto your party members. Like I named my wizard after my friend Adam D because when we were in high school, um for his senior, like some senior final project he had for a class, but he had to break a social norm, so he went around our local mall pretending to be a wizard, and he just kind of awkwardly shuffled everywhere and just pointed like a wand at people.
That's pretty good.
And you can see this girl with like a look of horror on her face, like, what is this? She had like a canon event with Adam D. Um, so I made the wizard named after my friend Adam D. Um, and slowly I've just been imprinting like a personality through like the types of actions that Adam D takes in battle or how I reclassed him into a martial artist. He just has his own personality as a character now. And I think that's really neat. And there aren't many JRPGs that I've ever seen have that like amount of control over your party members and have it feel natural. Especially because with Dragon Quest 3, you have like a concrete start to your adventure, and then you can just kind of go wherever you want and do what you want. Um,
Yeah, that's like one of the really cool things about that game. Most things don't pull that off as like as organically, I guess, as that game does. It like kind of just feels okay, but it's also like insane that they did that in like Dragon Quest 3, like when that game came
that
out.
is a
It's like
NES game,
crazy.
and I'm
Yup.
playing it, and it's like, and it's pretty obvious they didn't really change much outside of the obvious like look of the game and some small quality of life
Right.
features. But it's like the storytelling in that game still feels fresh, just because Yuji Horii is such a good scenario writer.
He's such a good writer. Yeah.
Um, and it's really unfortunate that it seems like Dragon Quest 12 will likely be his last like contribution to the series with the passing of Sugiyama and unfortunately Akira Toriyama. But it's like
Yeah.
like especially like Sugiyama, there are enough tracks left over where you can just kind of like reuse them
Right.
as you see fit. But with like a Toriyama, he designed everything in those fucking games. And it's
Yeah.
not like you can get Toyotaro or something to design anything.
Yeah.
Because Toyotaro also didn't do the designs, as far as I know, for Dragon Ball Super. Like, Toriyama would
Right.
just like draw shit. Like, okay, here's Beerus. Here's Super Broly. Um, here's Jiren. Like there are characters that he drew and that Toyotaro would just like put into the story, like adapt as he saw fit. Um,
That makes sense. Yeah.
I'm kind of like he supervised the story and everything. But like
Right.
all the art is Toyotaro. But I what I do
That.
know is that the guy who does all the stuff for Dragon Quest X, like all the art
Uh huh.
and all the story, like that's like a separate team. Hori and Toriyama didn't
Yeah.
really have any involvement with that as far as I know. Beyond like the initial like
Right.
first part of the game. But it's like I guess he has a successor. It's just like not the same. It's not going to be the same having
Oh,
Toriyama.
it won't.
Like
But
a Dragon Quest without Toriyama is like unfathomable. Um, I think
yeah, just fundamentally something
yeah,
different.
I think what's kind of neat about Dragon Ball and just the sort of culture that has spawned around uh Toriyama is that all of his successors were just like fans of his work. Dragon Ball is something that
Yeah.
belongs to the fans. And actually, just like Toriyama's art in general is something that belongs to his fans. Like the guy who did all of the key artwork for the new Dragon Quest HD 2D remake, uh, he's just like a Dragon Ball fan, and you could go on his Twitter and he has like art of like Trunks with a sword or like Cell or whatever, and it's like this dude just loves Dragon Ball. Like he's drawing it all the time, and now he has a professional opportunity to like replicate Toriyama's art, and I think that's really neat. It's the same goes for Toyotaro. Same goes presumably for the guy who does all of the art for Dragon Quest X.
Yeah.
Um,
I would imagine.
but going back to three, it just kind of feels like the truest like role-playing game I've ever played, if that makes sense. Like the
Yeah.
role-playing element is really there. Like the idea of an RPG refers less to the idea of like role-playing and more so it's just like a series of mechanics. Like the role
Right.
playing has kind of fallen by the wayside, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I do know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, it really does like depend on the game. Um, like there's a lot of RPGs I think don't really do that well. But are still kind of good games anyway. So it is like very surprising when anything actually does kind of like fully lean into that aspect of
Yeah.
it.
Um, like
It's very rare.
yeah. I'm struggling to think of anything that does it like as well as Dragon Quest 3, but Dragon Quest 6 kind of does something similar to 3 where
Yeah.
it leaves you like the whole world to explore and you can go do whatever you want. But because there are two maps to explore, it just feels like I don't know, it just kind of feels like you're wandering aimlessly and there's no real direction or sense of urgency to the game. Uh and the story is so like well defined by this point that it's just like you play it and you're just kind of like, what am I doing here?
That's funny. Six is the only one I've never
Yeah, I
played.
remember you saying this.
It's
Um,
crazy. I think the only other thing I can think of off the top of my head that really does that in like in any kind of similar way is it Legend of Mana?
hey, I've only played Secret of Mana because I have a cartridge of that for the Super
Ah,
Nintendo. Yeah,
the thing about those games is that they're all very different from each other.
because I know Secret of Mana, it was originally a Final Fantasy spin-off, right?
Right, and then it just became its own
I know
thing.
Secret of Mana has that sort of faux RPG system where it's more like you're just attacking enemies, like it's linked to the past. Um,
Yeah.
uh, and you can plug in, you gotta get like that special, if you're playing on SNES, you gotta get like that special, like, um, cable or like whatever it is, so you can plug in three controllers and three of your friends can play.
Oh, right, for the co-op.
Yeah.
Yeah, Legend of Mana is weird in that it's like the game kind of starts you and then it just kind of gives you like a map, but the map is like empty and you just have tiles on the map and you can use like things you get to like create a new spot on the map, but it's like different depending on where on the map you put like which item. It makes a different like scenario.
Okay.
And the length of the game is like wildly different depending on like how you go about it. Like you can play the game several times through and have it like and just do like completely different shit.
That's really interesting.
And it's really cool. There's an entire like area where all you do is you go there and and like there's quests to be solved, but there's no like combat. You have to like learn this made up language from this guy who just kind of tells you like what words mean. And you pretty much have to like write them down. And then you go to the people and they start speaking this language and you're supposed to have like conversations with them in it. Well, you only kind of know a few words.
That's fascinating to put in a
It's
PlayStation RPG.
it's really cool. Yeah, it's very cool.
Um,
But that's like the only other game I can think of off the top of my head that does that sort of thing.
yeah. Um, it's like Final Fantasy, from what I've played of those games, it's never really focused on like letting you immerse yourself in the role of the main character. They're always very like uh free uh what's the word I'm looking for? Predestined like stories and like with
Yeah,
clear-cut character archetypes. Like a Cloud
yeah. The
Strife
only
is
ones. Oh
like an
right.
actual character.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The only ones where that's like really where it's really the case is like in like 3 and 5, because in those it's especially in like 3, because you are just kind of like, oh, you're just like your little group of characters, and then you just kind of like change their classes around and stuff, and they're not as like defined, I guess, as some of the late. Honestly, like everything before 4, I think, from what I remember, is pretty like open ended with the
Yeah.
characters. But when 4 came around, they like really started just being like, oh no, here's like your
Yeah.
guys.
That's up
These are the guys you play
and
as.
like I feel like there that's why the audience for Dragon Quest versus Final Fantasy is so different because um every Dragon Quest game, even the ones where you have like a predestined party or the whatever, um like
Mm-hmm.
the hero is always a blank slate that you can imprint your personality onto. Um in Final
Yeah.
Fantasy, like it's always about like the characters. Um
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy VII is like its own beast in itself. That might as well just be
Yeah.
like Final Fantasy VII is a series in itself.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a lot of Final Fantasy VII
yeah,
games.
Dirge of Cerberus.
I love their just Cerberus.
Gotta, I gotta actually play it. Like I've seen gameplay and just
It's so
the
funny.
idea of it seems really funny. It seems like Shadow
It's
the
so
Hedgehog.
funny. Yeah, it kind of is. It's very like repetitive and like honestly not that interesting at its core, but it's like so like cool and like just kind of fun enough that it's like pretty fun all the way through.
Yeah. Oh God.
It's very stupid. I really love it. I mean that's coming from me though, who is like noted Vincent Valentine fan.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, I'm a little
he
biased,
has
but
undeniable amounts of swag. Like
he really does.
no one could look at that guy and go, he has no swag. Um,
He's not even actually a vampire. He just
like,
sleeps in a coffin for no reason.
um, this this is really embarrassing, but it reminds me that like my step siblings all kind of played a prank on me when I was like a very young impressionable child that they were all like mythical creatures. And it was just like something that they were in on and that I wasn't in on. And it was just very like puzzling and uh because I was a child and I didn't understand the difference between fiction and reality. It caused some problems, to say the least.
Right.
Uh, I almost forgot about that.
That's funny.
Yeah, um, definitely. You know, that might be the reason why I got into role-playing games. There might be a
It's all coming
it's
together.
all coming together. I'm like uh synapses are firing off my brain. It's like
Everything's
everything is
connected.
connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, the first funny this reminds me that the first RPG I ever played was Earthbound, which is a really funny first
Really?
RPG to play because I feel like that game, despite the audience it has, it is so rooted, deeply rooted in the conventions of Dragon Quest specifically.
Oh yeah, it is.
Like the whole like, oh, enemy is like just like goofing around or whatever. Like that's a Dragon Quest thing.
Yeah.
Um and like the combat systems are near identical.
Yeah, it's really funny how much shit is just like, oh, this is like Earthbound, and it is, but it's also like Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of the times when that gets said, it's like the people saying it haven't played Dragon
Right.
Quest,
Because Dragon Quest
so
doesn't have
like they don't have that frame of
yeah,
reference
Dragon
for it.
Quest is like a fairly niche thing in the United States. It's a sizable niche, but it is definitely like
Yeah,
niche.
but it is a niche, which is funny because it really does just like
I tell
did kind of define the entire
right, and
genre.
it's like nobody's played these games. It very much feels like something that in the United States that you either get into like when you're a really young kid, or you get into when you're an
Yeah.
adult, and it's like you can't get into Dragon Quest as a teenager. Like,
No, I remember being friends with this kid in fifth grade because he was the only person in my entire school that knew what Dragon Quest was.
um, I,
And I probably only knew what it was because of like older cousins.
that's funny. Um,
Yeah.
I don't. I just fuck. What was I? Yeah. Part of this is just like Dragon Quest. When RPGs had like their big boom in popularity on the SNES and PlayStation. There was one Dragon Quest game, and that was Dragon Quest VII in 2000, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it's like that had already faded. So Dragon Quest, like, it just became a niche thing, and it's unfortunate because it's like when discussing RPGs or anything even vaguely resembling an RPG, you kind of gotta know about Dragon Quest. Um,
It is like insane. Like going back and playing like 3 and 5 especially and just being like it's like finding like the Rosetta Stone.
it's like
You
watching
know?
Citizen Kane. And just being like,
Right.
oh, this is why everyone fucking does this. Um,
Yeah, everybody does those things. It's from this. Yeah, it's
like
insane.
people will talk about, oh, what's the Citizen Kane of video games? And as in like, what is the defining work of a medium? But they ignore the context of Citizen Kane inventing fucking everything in terms of film technique.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're gonna talk about like what's the Citizen Kane of video games, it's either Dragon Quest 3 or 5, I'd say. Um,
Yeah, like especially of like
yeah.
RPGs for sure.
And also like the reason that people like Eiji Aonuma and Hideo Kojima started making games was because of Yuji Horii and the Portopia serial murder case.
True. I gotta play
I
that
got
so
it too.
bad.
That might be, if I can emulate it, that might be like a play on the plane thing.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because I gotta
Yeah, I might need to play that. I might need to play that soon.
Because they just released like a translation of like the second one officially, like in the United States.
Did they?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
and I don't know. but it also like the going back to Dragon Quest and its sort of lack of relevance in the United States culturally. Part of like I feel like outside of like it missing the big RPG boom in the 90s, uh
Yeah.
like I feel like it might have gotten more popular than like Final Fantasy because of Toriyama and how big Dragon Ball was becoming.
Oh yeah.
Um, like, wow, the guy who did Dragon Ball has a whole series where he illustrates everything.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, was like, because they didn't show like they didn't have Toriyama art for the first four Dragon Quest games in the United States.
No, they didn't.
Um, so like I'm trying to think, like, was the first like game with Toriyama art in the United States Chrono Trigger? Like, is this like
I feel like
I
it
feel
has to
like it
be,
has
right?
to be, yeah. Um, this is kind of like how the first like Berserk anything in the United States officially was the sort of the Berserk game for the
Oh yeah.
Dreamcast, and they call them Gatsu.
Which is so funny. It's so funny when people do that. Like it's an English word.
Yeah. Um,
Sort of berserk guts rage.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and like
The Dreamcast.
and when you like on the VMU or whatever it's called, it shows like a photo or like a pixel art of Puck when you play the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um, it's
Yeah.
not very good. Um,
No, I've played a little bit of it. It's pretty funny though.
and it's an interesting artifact given the
It
audience like
is.
Berserk would cultivate, and it just being like the first Berserk thing in the United States. It did give
Yeah.
us the really funny image of Lara Croft and Guts, and it's like Guts
Oh,
and Lara
true.
aren't playing video games. They're playing with each other. And it's like, no, Guts' one and only is Casca. She even they discuss this in
He's
the
busy.
game.
He's busy like swinging his sword at things. Like, what do you mean?
Um, but it's always really funny that
It's so
like the
funny.
first Berserk thing in the United States is just that kind of crappy game. Um, it does always make
Because that was before the show, right?
yeah, like that didn't the Berserk 97
Crazy.
didn't get dubbed until the early 2000s from what I
Oh,
remember.
right.
And Sean Schemmel, who voices Goku, is he voices Gaston in Berserk 97. Because
Oh, that's
in
true.
the like the bloopers they have like Guts going, "Hey, which one of you's Goku?" Uh God. What was I You know what I've just been like watching in my free time? I've been watching like Dragon Ball AMVs. Some of them are like awesome.
Yeah.
It's like the Linkin Park ones
Some of
sent
them
to
rule. Oh yeah.
there's one it's just like Goku and Vegeta and it's set to like Linkin Park. Found like multiple of this isn't the Budokai Tenkaichi by I Hate Myself.
That's
And
so
one of them is
funny.
like Yamcha versus Tien, the the goat.
God, that owns.
And then
Yeah.
another one is of the Cell games, and it's Gohan just going like Super Saiyan 2 against Cell, and it's like just set to this I Hate Myself song.
That's so funny.
Like I don't even like that band that much, which
No, I don't really care for them, but like that
yeah,
rules.
it's really cool. I do admire the level of commitment that they had to go. Kame, Kame,
Yeah, in the song.
ah, it was yeah.
That kind of owns.
Like that's like, and then there are a bunch of other songs, like emo songs that reference that song, and also like Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Like there's, I think it's a Panucci's Pizza song. That's like,
God.
this still isn't the Budokai Tenkaichi. Um, but I don't want to talk about that guy. Um,
Nah.
Actually, this reminds me that like a friend of a friend saw Lou Diamond and like he was working at a restaurant and recognized him, and he just like walked away in like
What the?
fear.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Uh, it's fucked up.
That'd be so
That would be
scary,
really
actually.
scary. Yeah, but and then there's the Camping in Alaska song. I don't Another band I
Oh,
don't
of
really
course.
care for. Uh,
I don't really. Yeah.
like that's called like Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 4, and it's like, well, I guess you gotta rename that song now
Yeah.
because that game's out.
That game is
You
out.
can go buy, play it, and get your ass kicked by Great Ape Vegeta. Um, like I'm just waiting for. I think that game speaks to a larger issue with fighting game culture and also just like online game culture where everyone's just so
Yeah.
like insistent on winning versus just like enjoying yourself. Like with this game
Yeah.
specifically, it cannot be that much fun to just play as like Gogeta and Broly and Vegito. Uh,
Right. Like just all the time.
But like I play I think my top three characters are Tien, Master Roshi, and Yajirobe. Because like to me, it's like Dragon Ball has such like a goofy cast of characters. Like why wouldn't I wanna like
Yeah.
kick like Trunks' ass as Master Roshi? Um and it's
Yeah, and I want to play like the movie characters
yeah,
too
like
and shit.
Android 13,
You know.
like the
I want to play Android 13 and BoJack.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um it's like I can't play that game online because it's just like people that are like, I'm just gonna play Gogeta, SSJ for Gogeta. It's like, I guess.
It's so like
It's just
okay,
like
man.
lame. It's like
Yeah.
I'm waiting for my friends to come home from like college and so I can play it with them and just like laugh and goof around because it's a very easy game to
Yeah, 'cause
learn. And Dragon Ball's like you can just kind of pick up and be like, oh, this rocks. Um, like I should.
yeah, it's definitely a very like play with your friends kind of game.
Yeah, like I showed my friend Kelly, BoJack Unbound, and she was like, "Yeah, this is awesome."
It's so good. I fucking love that
That
movie.
movie, like, that's my favorite Dragon Ball movie, just because, outside of like History of
It
Trunks,
might be.
outside of
Yeah.
History of Trunks and the like, Bardock, Father of Goku, TV
Oh
specials,
yeah.
it's like that's the best one because it's like I like the fights, I like that everyone's in it. Like Tien shows up and he battles Trunks. Uh,
Yeah.
And also just
Totally.
the backgrounds in that movie are
They
gorgeous.
look
Like when
crazy.
they're all in that like weird artificial city and there's like that shot of like
Yeah.
Piccolo broke through like the dome of that like fighting capsule and you just see him like
Looks like
standing there
yeah.
with like his cape and it's
Looks
like
like they
so good.
yeah, it looks like they like superimposed him onto like Angel's egg.
Yeah, it's like this is Dragon Ball. Um,
It's
yeah,
wild.
no, that movie looks fucking like phenomenal. It's not something I ever see discussed when people talk about it. Like
Yeah,
Fusion
it looks so cool.
Fusion Reborn also has like some exemplary animation with Janemba and how when he does like the
Yes, it's
transmission and
so
all
cool.
like the different like cubes come together and then
That I
reform.
always thought that shit was
It's
so
so
cool.
fucking impressive. Um,
God.
Yeah, it's just like those two movies just look great. Um, and then there's you have some of the like I thought like when I was a lot younger, I thought Broly was like a main cast Dragon Ball character and not like a character from three of the movies. And it's like all of the Broly movies
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah, they're not that
Like
good.
he is a lame villain too. Like he's just like
Yeah.
Kakarot, and then he gets really mad and throws his dad away. And then the
Yeah,
one fun
Broly's not very
no, he's
interesting.
not. And like Super's iteration of him. As much as I think that the design of Z Broly is cooler. Um, uh, like Super's take on him is just so much more interesting. Uh,
Yeah, I genuinely know nothing about like what goes on in
I
Super,
just know
if I'm
what
being
okay, what I
honest.
know about Super is just from playing the story mode
Oh yeah.
uh of Sparking Zero. And like I don't know, a lot of it just seems dumb. Like it's
Yeah.
like oh, future Trunks comes back and also like they kill Bulma and it's like why can't you just give this guy a normal fucking life? Like leave him be. Um like and just having Vegeta do the same stupid arrogant shit, especially after like he
Oh
gives
yeah.
that big speech about like hang in there, Kakarot, you are number one. How
Right.
powerful that is. It just feels reductive to his character. Um,
Yeah.
like a lot of the fight stuff is cool, but it's like it's Dragon Ball. It's kind of
Right.
expected. Like I
Yeah,
don't
of
know. It
course.
just kind
Yeah.
of gets like it feels like Super kind of misses the point of like what is so good about Dragon Ball in the first place, and it just becomes too like caught up in like power scaling. Um,
Oh
Power
yeah.
scaling's the big issue, but also just like
Right.
universal hierarchies where it's like, oh, every universe has like a destroyer god and it's like an angel that follows them. And it's like there are multiple universes, and it's like I don't watch Dragon Ball for like multiverse stuff. I watch Dragon Ball because
Right. Yeah.
I like the characters and I like seeing them do cool stuff. And I like how they're characterized for the most part. Um, like say what you will about Dragon Ball GT, but like they do a better job with Vegeta than Super does,
No,
from
they
what I can
do.
tell. Where
I believe that. I kind of like
I like
GT. Is the
GT
thing.
too.
I
I
think it's
think it's
fun.
like pretty like rough around the edges throughout. They
Yeah,
really do stick the landing with Goku, and he's
they
like
do.
Goku dies at the end of GT. Um, and it's just like it's the idea of having like the spirit of Goku just like kind of watch over Earth like as a representation for everything that's like good in humanity. It's like that's what Dragon Ball is all about. Um,
Not for real. It rules.
and then just having him like kind of like go back and like see, oh, he sees Krillin and they have one battle and Krillin beats him. And Krillin's old as shit. Um,
Yeah.
and then like he sees Piccolo in hell. It's just like sweet. Um, I think one of the other things about Dragon Ball that a lot of people miss because they don't fucking watch or read OG Dragon Ball is that like part of it is
Yeah.
just watching Goku grow up. You see this little like stupid kid who doesn't know what a car is uh and he's like grabbing people's like dick and balls. Uh
Yeah. Pissing on Krillin's
yeah.
leg.
And you see him become like an adult and you see him have a family and like and then you see his son grow up and then you see his son have a kid and it's like this is just a really nice thing to watch and it's like Dragon Ball like grows up with you in a sense and that's really nice. um but like Super feels like it kind of misses the mark of like
Yeah.
what I just said about Dragon Ball that makes it
Mm.
interesting. Um,
I kind of got that impression, to be honest.
yeah. One thing, again, this is like, take my opinion on this with a grain of salt because my experience with Super's story is just through like nobody shutting the fuck up about it and also like playing through the Sparking Zero.
Yeah.
So it's not like a complete image, but from what I've gathered, this seems pretty accurate. And it's like a lot of the criticisms hurled towards it, fall in line with the ones that I'm, coming forth with. Um, One thing that is funny though is, do you remember when Goku sticks those bunnies on the moon in like one of the first chapters of Dragon Ball?
Yeah,
Like those bunnies that turn Bulma into a carrot, and he's like, "Well, if you make treats for 1 year, you can come back to Earth." And they're like, "Okay." And then Master Roshi blows
yeah,
up the
yeah,
moon.
yeah,
So they're just presumably like gone. They're dead.
yeah. They blowed up with the moon.
Yeah. Uh, Goodbye bunnies. So, because I was looking this up because my friend texted me like, "I love these bunnies, dude." Like when the car pulled up, like I thought like I died of laughter. And I'm like, "Oh, well, they die." Like Master Roshi blows up the moon. So they presumably are dead. Uh so I look it up and in one of the like the manga arcs of Dragon Ball Super, so they apparently floated through space for like years and then found their way back to the moon and are still there.
What?
Yeah, like it's just like some background thing. Like you see a dude flying by
That's
the
really
moon and you
funny.
see the bunnies like on the moon looking back.
God.
um it's just like what the hell? There's some other uh and like going back to like OG Dragon Ball because like I'm pretty sure that Z got localized before Dragon Ball did. Um
Yo, yeah.
and that's why a lot of people's experience with the series is just Z. But you're just like missing the full context of like Piccolo exists as a foil to Vegeta because he totally gives up on evil. Like he is a
Yeah.
former rival to Goku who has like the same fate where Goku spares him and he just becomes an ally. But Goku, while Vegeta kind of sticks with his villainy and his stubbornness, like Piccolo grows and evolves and becomes a humble, like stern but kind, like tutor to Gohan. Uh, it's like you miss that because you miss out on like King Piccolo. And the shot where Goku kills him by like jumping through his chest.
Yeah.
Um,
This is
it
awesome.
looks like that specific like panel looks like a ship post. It's really funny.
It does.
Um,
It's really funny.
and I was thinking about this recently, like because I was talking to you about like, oh, what are the five like most important comic artists ever? And I think my list was like Osamu Tezuka, Akira Toriyama,
Yeah, of course.
Alan Moore, Jack
Yeah.
Kirby, and who's the other one?
I don't remember.
I don't even because it was Tezuka Moore. Uh, I didn't say Morrison because I know I was like, oh, like maybe Morrison.
Well, if we're just talking about artists, then
Well, like I'm talking like right. Well, the thing with Toriyama and
yeah.
like Tezuka is that they were both mangaka
They just
and that they did everything. But like if
yeah.
we're talking about
And
writers,
Alan Moore and well, actually, Alan Moore and Jack Kirby both also wrote, so
yeah, yeah. Um,
that's true.
I don't remember. I don't remember. Like if we're talking about like the five most important people in comics, it would definitely be those four. But like even like Tezuka and like Jack Kirby like did not leave nearly. I don't think like the thing with Batman or Superman is that like or just American comics in general is that they're a lot like their stories are told by so many different people. It is reiterating the same myth, and that's why a lot of comparisons get made by high school teachers
Yeah.
to get people into literature. Like, oh, like
Yeah.
superheroes are like the new myths, and it's like kids don't care about superheroes now. But I think there's some
They
truth
don't
to
care.
that with the idea that like these are constantly being iterated on. Like somebody's always doing a
Right.
new run for a character. And it's like with manga, um especially something like Dragon Ball. It's like Akira Toriyama did fucking everything. Uh,
Oh yeah.
and it's like, is there really any like singular like comic book artist who has had like as much of an impact like culturally as that dude? Um, I would go as far as to say like Dragon Ball is like one of the defining works of the past like half century of human existence, which says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it is just so everywhere.
Like you go to the mall and you see a
Like
kiosk. Yeah,
worldwide.
you go to the mall and you see a kiosk and it's like, oh, there's Goku. Like like in Mexico, they were doing screenings for the Tournament of Power arc of Dragon Ball Super, like public
Oh
screenings, and
yeah.
they got like cease and desist, and they didn't listen because Dragon Ball is
That
fucking
sucks.
everywhere. The Goku Takeria, Takeria, I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's like Dragon Ball is just everywhere. It's like it is the anime. It is the manga. It is
No,
it
it
is
is.
like define people will say like something stupid anti-Twitter people will be like Luffy's Gear 5 has surpassed the legacy of the Kamehameha. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
You walk up to some random guy on the street and ask him like what the fuck a Gear
and they'll
Five
be like,
is.
what? What's a Kamehameha?
No shade to One Piece. Even that shit's probably all right. I don't know, but I'm
Matt
just
really
saying.
likes One Piece.
I have a feeling I might like it. I just haven't ever read or watched
Yeah.
it, so I don't know.
Um,
But yeah, but I mean, one like ask some random guy like what the fuck a Gear
I'll
Five
be like,
is, but they'll probably know what a
or a
Kamehameha is
Super Saiyan.
or a Super Saiyan.
I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, that's when their hair turns yellow.
and you're like, yeah,
Like they reference
hell
it
yeah.
on. I'm trying to think of things that I've seen recently, like watched like recently that have referenced Super Saiyans, and it is uh the uh the intro sequence for the second to last season of Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Ochi the Rock, and Joe Para talks with you.
Yeah, oh yeah, he is in Joe
Yeah,
Para. I forgot about
and
that.
there's the episode where he's talking about haircuts, and he's like, "Oh, and you can do Super Saiyan."
Yeah, I forgot about that
Yeah,
bit.
um, that shit is great. But
I love that show.
like I'm trying to think of like what even comes close to be outside of music. Like music's its own like cultural thing because it's just like you hear music played everywhere.
Yeah.
Like
No,
that
it's
that in
crazy.
itself is very different, but it's like
Yeah.
what even compares to like Dragon Ball? It's like Star Wars and Seinfeld.
Right.
Like Star Wars, I'd put above it, and it's like Seinfeld invented like Seinfeld popularized so many words that are regularly used in the English language. Like Goku and George Costanza are two sides of the same coin. Uh Goku represents all the hope that we have, and whatever the opposite of that is represented by George. Uh I was watching the. Have you seen Seinfeld?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I was watching the episode
I've seen a
where
lot of Seinfeld.
Kramer goes to Hollywood to become like a
Yeah.
writer, and Jerry and George go after him, and Kramer just starts getting framed as a serial murderer. And the episode ends like you're not like he gets let go because he's like some another body is discovered while Kramer's in custody, and George and like
Yeah.
uh Jerry are just like, oh, another body got discovered, and they're so like joyous over it, ignoring the obvious like
Yeah. The
implications of
fact
a
that.
body being discovered. Um,
Yeah.
because like because Kramer's got like a free, and it's like it's it's so fucking funny. Or just my personal favorite. My two personal favorite Seinfeld episodes are the one where George and Jerry basically hijack a limo that belongs to the leader of the Aryan Union, and then George gets framed
Yeah.
as the leader of the Aryan Union, and You just see him like yelling in front of like Madison Square Garden. It's not me. I didn't do it. Um, and then the episode where he spends like the whole time like thinking of like he has that one comeback, so he flies to Ohio to zing the dude, and then the cycle just
Yeah.
starts over again. It's so funny. Um, what an unbelievable show. And then Star
It
Wars is
really is.
its own beast that I don't really want to get into. Um, yeah,
the the only thing I can say about Star Wars is that we saw Cad Bane in Fortnite the other day,
we
but it
did
wasn't him.
say see Cad Bane in Fortnite. I want to look up Cad Bane Fortnite. Is
No, I looked up. He's not in the game.
what the fuck?
That was someone else. But I swear to God, that was Cad
Okay, I
Bane.
found it. I found there's a skin that looks like Cad Bane.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah. Okay, see, so you could see why, like, in the heat of the moment, I thought this dude was
I
Cad
did
Bane, and I
too.
was like, oh my
It's
god.
like the OJ Simpson Fortnite skin.
What?
So there's I'll find it. So there's a specific like combination of items that somebody made. So you know how OJ like they have the football players in Fortnite and you can customize them to be like whatever team you want.
Yeah.
So somebody made one with um somebody made one of the Buffalo Bills Fortnite
Oh my
skin.
god.
Um,
Yeah.
and they used OJ Simpson's number and they gave him the Michael Myers slasher knife and they gave him like a getaway
Oh
car
my
as
god.
his glider.
Oh my god.
Um, so I guess that's the OJ Simpson Fortnite skin.
That's crazy. I did not see this.
I'll send it to you after
Yeah.
or now. But it's
That's very funny.
uh, yeah. Uh OJ Simpson. I've told you about the whole thing with my friend Chris met OJ Simpson.
Oh, you did tell me this.
And how like when he died, I check Instagram and it's like a bunch of people are just sharing that like year or 2 year old post. Um like I'm pretty sure like James from Blind Equation when I was getting lunch with him and Bill from Blind Equation, uh he was like, "Oh yeah, we were in Korea, like when OJ Simpson died," and like I don't know, I was reminded of that post. And he just shows me a video of like all these like he's with all these people from Korea, and they're like OJ Simpson.
That's so funny.
So fucking funny.
Friend, a friend of mine saw them in Korea, actually.
Blind Equation?
Yeah, I didn't know who they were.
Damn, that's funny.
Went to the show, and I was like, oh, they rule.
Yeah, no, that band rocks. I'm really glad I got to,
Yeah,
because they were supposed to play in Philadelphia the other day, but they got they're touring with Omerta now. They just got added to that tour.
yeah,
So yeah, that shout out Blind Equation. That band's
yeah, for real.
phenomenal.
They're really good,
Like
yeah.
definitely my favorite of the like current like wave of cyber grind bands.
And Cyber Grinds,
Them
yeah.
and Thought. Uh, both like super great bands that dropped from that same festival. Um,
That's crazy.
yeah, but you know what I just found out today?
What's up?
That there was this like uh there's this ARG
Yeah,
um uh called Eritas.
okay.
And I just found out that was tied to KFC Murder Chicks. That was like a DJ Roswell thing.
What? Huh.
So like
This band that I learned the existence of
yeah,
yesterday?
yeah. I forgot that I was telling you about the band yesterday, but like there's that channel, like Blame It on Jorge or whatever, and he just has a bunch of like videos on this thing called Eritas, and it was like this crazy ARG, and it's like, oh, that was DJ Roswell. Uh, 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 I guess I don't know. I thought that was
That's
I forgot that
crazy.
you
I thought that you were gonna say there was a blind equation
that
ARG. I
would
was like,
be
that's
that would be
crazy.
cool.
Like that's
I
crazy.
think James is too busy playing like Yu-Gi-Oh ROM hack. For,
Yeah, that's pretty
yeah,
sick.
he was just telling me about this. I gotta ask him about it. This Yu-Gi-Oh ROM hack he was playing, and it sounded really cool. Uh,
That's awesome.
I
The picture of you and him is really funny.
the
It's such a funny,
which one? The
such
one
a
where we're
funny
just like
where
where I
your hands are like over your face. Like it's like so funny.
and it's like the worst like blinding light possible. Yeah,
The lighting is
it's
horrible. Yeah,
so
it's so
funny.
funny.
Like the one thing I remember from that show was like I go outside and I'm talking to like I go outside and I'm talking to the guys from Oolong and because I hadn't seen them in a minute. But I'm
Yeah,
just and Blind Equation are on and then I kind of rush in to see them and they're phenomenal. And like somebody at that show like comes up to me and like I'm talking with Vinny from Oolong about Vocaloid. And I'm like, oh, I've
yeah.
been listening to like a lot of like Wintermute and like Twinkle Park and Ippo.tsk. It's like, I don't know what any of that is. Okay. And this girl comes up to me like, uh, like nervously, and she's like, keep in mind, I'm short. Like I'm 5'3". Um, this person who's like so much shorter than me comes up and is like, are you talking about like nervously? Are you talking about Vocaloid? I'm like, yeah, yeah. And I recommend them some of the like, stuff I've been listening to. And they just like walk away from me for saying, by the way, you're really cute. And then I'm like, that was a strange experience. This is the only time something like that has ever happened to me in person, and it was like this person showing me their Green Luga keychains.
Okay, that's cool though.
It was
That's
it was
cool.
kind of funny.
Yeah.
That was an interesting show.
I was worried when you started telling that story that someone was gonna like walk up to you and like recognize you from the Instagram account
No,
somehow.
no, what did happen when I was on tour? So the hotspots
God.
are like for getting recognized are apparently Philadelphia and Rhode Island because I remember like it was a show my ex played with Ginger Bee, Godfuck, One Way Mirror, and the Civil War in France, and I had like six separate people like, hey, you're
That's
like
insane.
I'm not exaggerating. It was like six people that all came up to me like, oh, like I know who you are. I'm like. Ah, um, and it's because
Yeah.
like the two people that ran the venue like have liked my account forever, and it's like okay, um, it was one of them, and it was like four other people, and then somebody after the show was like, I think I just like met like Lynn several tits on the show. I'm like, um,
That's
but
crazy. I don't know what I'd do.
But in like Rhode Island, on the first tour I was on, like somebody was like, so this reminds me that when Jasmine and Ivy were hanging out in person, like all she said to Ivy about how he was in person was, yeah, Lynn was really cranky in Rhode Island because she didn't
What?
have enough sleep. And I'm like, thanks, Jasmine. Thanks for telling my
That's a
friend
really
that.
funny thing to say
And
about somebody.
she also like said Ivy asked like how short like I am, and Jasmine like put her hand up to Jasmine's like 6 feet tall, and she put her hand up to her shoulder and was like she's like this tall.
God.
Anyways, in Rhode Island, somebody after that show came up to me with a Family Guy vape, and them and their friend recognized me. And then when I was there again, I like somebody asked to shake my hand. And it was like somebody in one of the bands asked to shake my hand, and it was like, oh my
It's so
God.
funny.
And then in Philly, like somebody in the one Discord I use, shout out, shout out, my pals Ava and June from Ava's in the Civil War in France and Postcard Nowhere and Plague Skater and the band Sukaban, and also shout out her girlfriend June, who's also in the band Sukaban and the venue they run called the Kennel. But it wasn't a kennel show, but somebody in that Discord recognized me, like, because I was wearing a Drive Like Jehu shirt, which is fucked up. Um, like, yeah, she's the type of person who'd listen to them or wear a Drive Like Jehu shirt. And I'm like,
Oh my god.
yeah, lucky you're not being recognized. Glenn, do you even like, do you still go to shows where you live?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Didn't you see the Callous Cowboys a couple times?
I I've seen them like
Okay.
twice in the past
I just
like 2 years.
I just remember a point when they'd keep going viral for like stupid shit they'd pull, like the mosh callouts.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
one of them was something about health insurance.
Yeah, they're always like saying shit. It's pretty
Did you ever
funny.
see
It's
their
just every and then
did you ever see
they go
their
like viral on
did
Twitter.
you ever see their Dianetics shirt?
Mm-hmm.
That one is something.
Yeah, I'm so mad that I didn't when I the first time I saw him, I didn't have money at the time, like enough to spend on the shirt, but I like because I was like gonna get the paint thinner one
God.
because that one was really funny.
There
But
was one that they made for a limited time that said like, "Yeah, man, I'm gay too," and it had the Punisher logo on it.
oh yeah, that one was also really good.
Um,
God. No, it's so funny.
yeah. Um, that,
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. To see.
yeah. And then there's a band, like a noise band in New York called the Dallas Cowboys.
Wait, really?
Yeah, which is either like, which I'm guessing is a deliberate like t- joke on the joke, uh, or an
Oh yeah,
inversion of the joke of it being like
right.
the Dallas Cow. Yeah, because some girls
Yeah.
I know from college just played with them. Right, you know what's fucked up is like people are from I went to college with and like hung out with in college. Like they just played like a show with Devi from Black Dresses the other night.
God.
Just like what an interesting internet presence that woman has.
Yeah.
Uh
Oh yeah.
her just like making fun of my friend for the car seat headrest article.
I have no idea what you're talking about actually.
Oh, she made some like she was listening to like some Polo Perks album. She was listening to some, like a Polo Perks album, and that album
Oh yeah.
like samples Ricky Eat Acid. And she just went on some whole
Yeah.
tangent about like Sam, and I was like,
Oh man.
uh, yeah,
I was that's what I was gonna tell you about the other day when I was like about that song sampling that.
yeah. I think we were
It's
talking
so
about
funny.
that.
I think we were talking about that the other day. It's really funny.
It's really funny how like prevalent that guy's music is in like hip hop. Like he worked with Jaden Smith from what I remember.
For real.
Yeah, I'll have to ask him
Huh.
about it like another time. But
Wild.
Jaden Smith, there's the whole XXX Temptation thing.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. Uh, guys, Lil Uzi Vert sampled his wife pretty recently.
Oh, you told me about
Yeah.
that. That's crazy.
Um, yeah, no. That
There,
one especially
there.
is like, huh? Um,
Yeah, that's wild. There's a reason that reminded me of this, but and I'll get to that. But I think we should take a little quick tangent to talk about uh the tweets of Phil from the microphones.
Okay,
His
so
incredible
one thing
tweets.
somebody pointed out to me about the one
Uh
where
huh.
he's like, um, uh, uh, Yoshi is Mario's livestock or slave, Luigi is complicit. Remember, that
Yeah.
was the year A Crow Looked at Me came out. Like the year he
Was
tweeted
it
that. He had some other shit on his
really
mind, and he was tweeting,
wild?
yeah, so it makes it even funnier.
Wild shit. The other one that I always think about is so apparently there's a song. A Little Peep had a song that sampled the
Hmm.
microphones, and at one point he tweeted just kind of randomly, "I was the guitarist for Lil Peep."
What?
And I was like, "What?" And then I like looked into it, and what he meant was they sampled him one time, but he just like tweeted that randomly one time.
He's
It's like, what?
he's an interesting man.
Yeah.
I told you I met him once, like 5 years ago. I was 16.
I don't think you
Yeah,
did.
because him and Julie Doran played a show at some church in New York City, and I begged my dad to take me, and he took my sister and I just like bought a copy of Dawn and a copy of Mount Erie from him, the merch table. Don't have the copy of Dawn anymore, but I do have the copy of Mount Erie. Um,
That's
yeah,
interesting. No, I didn't know you'd seen him. That's crazy.
yeah. Like he was very quiet, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's like an old video of like this like kind of like intentionally like funny like just kind of like fake like interview
Hmm.
with I don't remember who it's with where they're just interviewing him but they're like the guy but they're just like kind of just doing bits back and
Hmm.
forth to each other and I remember I used to think that video was really funny. I need to find it
Do you know about
and
the
like post it.
MTV interview like they did as a promo for In Utero where they interview a young Phil Elverum?
No.
Yeah, there's like it was some promo they did for In Utero and they just happened to interview like a young Phil Elverum and his friend. I'll send you a video after. And he's wearing like
Really?
he wore a shirt from what I remember, he wore a shirt for this band called Gravel and he was like, I just wanted to wear like the most obscure thing possible to seem cool. Um, yeah. Do you also know about the headwaters of Mount Erie?
The
The
what?
headwaters of Mount Erie, I think it's called. It was like it acted as an explanation for like a lot of the sounds and like inspirations for Mount Erie the album. And
Really?
it's stuff that makes sense, like it's like a conversation from Twin Peaks, or some of it's like let me pull this up. One of the songs is Out There by Dinosaur Jr. So I
Oh,
should
really?
clarify, it was a booklet that explained a lot of it. Uh,
Huh.
and then it was a CD that had like a bunch of like inspirations for it, and it had a Sade song, Slave Song by Sade. It had a Bjork song,
Oh,
and this is where
really?
it gets funnier because it had like Neil Young Powderfinger. It has Bubba Sparks and Timbaland, two cuts from Bubba Sparks and Timbaland. And my personal favorite, the conversation from The Big Lebowski, where Walter Sobchak says, "This is what happens, Larry. This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass."
Oh, yeah.
Um,
That's
so I guess that was an inspiration for Headwaters by Mount Erie, or Mount Erie by the Microphones.
it's
I'll
crazy.
send you the like a PDF of the booklet, and I have like
Oh, yeah, you should.
I have the CD like ripped somewhere. I don't. I've been trying to find a copy for the longest time.
Oh yeah,
It doesn't seem like I'll ever have one. That's like a dream thing. I'm not even like a huge Phil
yeah,
Oliver. I'm like nut, but like I'd love to own a copy of that.
yeah.
Um, all right. So seems like we're nearing the end. Gwen, is there anything you want to recommend before we sign off?
Oh man, you'd think I'd think of these before. Uh, people should play Dragon Quest.
Yeah, that's gonna be my
if
recommendation too. I think everybody
yeah,
should like,
if you hadn't been sold like already, like fucking pick that shit
yeah,
up.
go pick up a Dragon Quest. My friend,
It don't even have to be the one that they just put out. Just like play one of
yeah,
them.
my friend, I think I told you about this, but my friend Gary, from the band Autumn Sonata, who I know because he was also
Oh yeah,
a transplant of like the um Instagram music uh community. Like he ran a he wouldn't uh he ran a shitpost account at one point, and it was like that's how I know him. But I've met this person. I've met Gary in person too. Like we saw on one together. But
yeah,
yeah, so Gary, like him, his our friend Mason and then our friend Garrett, we played through Dragon Quest V this summer, and Mason and Gary kind of like noped out halfway through because they got busy, and Garrett and I finished the game.
yeah.
But so at like for some reason, Gary was just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna play through Dragon Quest One on my CRT," and he loved it. And he because Dragon Quest One calculates your stats based on your name. Like you'll have
Yeah.
certain stat bonuses and penalties for your name. And because he named his character Gilbert, it fucked over his strength and HP, and he had to like
God,
he had to level up once more to actually beat the final boss because his name is Gilbert.
that's so funny.
So, and this is like circling back to my point about Dragon Quest. I think that is such like an immersive element because it allows you to like, oh, the unfortunate hero of uh Gilbert. It allows you to imprint your own personality traits onto
Yeah,
your character through events that happen in the game. This is why you should go pick up a Dragon Quest. Any of them, honestly. Um, for starters, I'd say pick up three or four or five or 11.
yeah.
11 seems very based in like the conventions of past games, but it's just so there's just so much to do. It's a lot of fun.
It's that game is
That
massive.
game's like that game is a constant like rug pull of length. It's like, oh, I'm nearing the end. You're never near
Every
the
time
end.
you think, every time you think you're about to finish that game, it just keeps
It's
going.
so long. There,
Which sometimes that bothers me, but in that game it
yeah,
doesn't at
it's
all.
like, well, there's another thing that's happening. Oh, I just got turned into a fish. Um,
Yeah, deal with that shit.
yeah. Um, but yeah, thank you for listening. And we hope you go pick up a Dragon Quest game. Uh, all right, bye.